Good morning, students. This is Mohan Rao, Senior Zoology faculty. You all know that we have been studying the various concepts in a chapter Reproductive Health. As a part of that, in the previous session, I explained different types of STDs or STIs, then constitutive organism, the symptoms, then diagnosis method, and thereafter what is the treatment or cure for the diseases, right? About all these varieties of concepts we happen to see in the earlier session, and today I come up with a new concept in this chapter, that is nothing but infertility. The most of the modern couple throughout the world is suffering from this problem nowadays. Now in this class I am going to detailedly give you the information regarding what is meant by infertility, and thereafter here what are the basic cause for the infertility in male as well as in a female. Thereafter here, what are all the remedies or a treatment that is available for this infertility, then what are the techniques are available for the male and techniques for the female in order to solve the problem of infertility in a modern couple. Now coming to here, the definition of this infertility, it includes, see this one, it is unable to produce children by a couple even after 1 or 2 years of unprotected sexual cohabitation is known as infertility. I remind you once again, inability to a couple to produce the children even after 1 or 2 years of unprotected sexual cohabitation is defined as infertility, that you can happen to see in this definition. See, particularly here it is unable to the couple. So in order to produce the children, right? So they are not able to produce the children in this condition. And here in which condition? In spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation. Even if they take part sexual intercourse regularly without using any barriers or any condoms, if they fail to produce even after 1 or 2 years span of time, then this condition is known as infertility. But here the point to be noted is, most of we used to consider this infertility as a synonym for the sterility. Here you have to understand the slight difference present between the two. One is infertility, whereas the second one is sterility. What does this sterility mean? What makes the difference between these two? Infertility, if you give a treatment to a couple, then or else if you give a certain kind of assisted technologies or techniques to them, these couple are able to produce the children. And that particular condition is known as infertility. Then what comes to the sterility? Even after the treatment is taken by the couple, even after some assistance is given to the couple, if they are not able to produce the children forever, that particular condition is known as sterility. This makes the slight difference between the two. And don't feel that infertility and sterility both are similar terms. Right. So this is all about the technical definition comes here under this infertility concept. Now let us see here types of the infertility. There are 2 different types of infertilities are there. And it includes, the first one is primary infertility, whereas the second one is known as secondary infertility. Now let us see here what is meant by primary, thereafter what is meant by the secondary infertility in a detailed way. And here, coming to the definition of the both, it includes, see the first one, primary infertility, right? Here, who never conceived even a one time. If the couple doesn't get conceived even a single time, here that particular condition is known as a primary infertility. It's a primary infertility. Then what is meant by the secondary infertility? And in this case, couple once they conceive, but here unfortunately abortion may be taking place, or else the couple they may have their first successful kid, and here if subsequent pregnancy is not taken place, or once it is get aborted, if they fail to get conceived once again, that condition is considered as the secondary infertility. They do get the pregnancy first, or they do get conceived first, and here if they failure of consequence, the second baby if they fail to produce, and such a kind of infertility is known as secondary infertility. Secondary infertility, that is. So these are all the two types of infertilities are there. Now, what are the reasons for this infertility? So in both the couple, the problem here from male side or the problem may be from the female side. And some cases, the problem may be from both the sides. Now, what are all the problems from the male side that make them to infertile, whereas what are the problems from the female that makes them infertile? Let us see one by one in a detailed way. Now, I am going to focus here the causes for the infertility in a male particularly. See this list. Here, it includes the different types of the reasons are there in male. That you have to remember that many causes are there. It is not here caused by a single factor or single problem. So, group of problems may get caused the infertility in the males. Let us see the first one here. It is cryptorchidism. It's one important thing. You all might have studied about this cryptorchidism, here a problem in a male when you study about the human reproductive system. And what does this cryptorchidism means? Let us see here. If you take the human male, so it is a very interesting here the point in the creation of the God or the nature. Thing is here, the two testicles are here suspended in the scrotal sacs. And thing is, at an embryonic development stage, the two testes are present in the abdomen of a male. These two are present in the abdomen of a male. During the embryonic developmental time on 7th month, generally these two testes are get descent or get travel down to the two sacs, which are known as scrotal sacs. They do descend to the scrotal sacs and they do remain here. And the basic intention behind descending down to the scrotal sacs in order to maintain a low temperature. Coming to in the two scrotal sacs, near about 2 to 2.5 degrees centigrade, low temperature is maintained when you compare with their body temperature. Coming to the body temperature of the male, it always 37 degrees centigrade. As we are all the warm-blooded animals, homeothermic animals, our body temperature continuously maintained at a 37 degrees centigrade. And here the point is, if at all the testicles are get suspended, then they do maintain a low temperature. And this condition is comfortable for spermatogenesis. Here is it. But in some of the cases, even after the childbirth takes place, these testicles are not suspended down to the scrotum and they do remain within the abdomen itself. This condition is called cryptorchidism. Then how does this cryptorchidism leads to infertility? Let us see now here. Since the two testes are remaining in the abdomen, they will get exposed to the high temperature, that is 37 degrees centigrade, which is not favorable for spermatogenesis. So that the sperm will not be get produced. So that since there is no sperms, there is no chances of production of babies. So it leads to infertility. And this condition leads to another problem known as oligospermia. Then, what is meant by oligospermia? The meaning of this word oligo means very few. Spermia means nothing but the spermatozoas. So at isolated time the number or count of the sperms will be very less in the semen. So that since the number is very less, so no possibility of conceiving. So this is one of the problem in a male for infertility. Right. Coming to the second problem, if you see it includes alcoholism. And generally most of the male is to take the alcohol. Nowadays, consumption of alcohol has become a crazy thing to the young generation. So that since they are all taking the alcohol, definitely it shows its effect on male reproductive system. Finally, it leads to infertility. So the persons who get addicted to the alcohol, consumes more alcohol, in them generally there is a chances of getting infertility. Is the second important cause, particularly in a male. In male, it is a big problem. Thereafter, a thyroid dysfunction is a third important function. Thyroid is one of the endocrine gland that you can happen to see. So in your neck region, in the trachea, a butterfly shaped or H shaped here, endocrine gland is there. You already studied more detailedly about this one in your first PU, like endocrinal system. If the thyroid gland, it doesn't function well and it leads to either hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism. The two conditions are not good for fertility. So this thyroid malfunctioning leads to infertility in a male. And thereafter, the fourth problem is impotence. Then what does this mean? A male failed to erect his penis and he failed to penetrate the penis into the vagina. So in that condition, no chances of here insemination, finally it leads to infertility. So where the male here failed to get erect his penis and penetrate into the vagina, then here it leads to infertility is one more problem. Thereafter, gonadotropin here deficiency. Gonadotropin is one kind of hormone, and you know that here these gonadotropins get released from the pituitary gland, that you all know very well about that. The anterior part of the pituitary gland, this is anterior pituitary, a gland, it releases the two important here hormones, and these hormones are known as gonadotropin hormones. Of these two, one it includes LH hormone, whereas the second one it includes follicle stimulating hormone, FSH hormone. And the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone has got their own functions on the testicles. So they will act on Leydig cells and Sertoli cells respectively, and it triggers the production of spermatogenesis, and even that helps for in releasing of male androgen like testosterone. Since these androgens are here deficient in the male, generally it obstructs the spermatogenesis, so that it leads to finally infertility is one more important thing. And thereafter, hemophilia is then one more problem in a male. Generally, whenever the insemination is taken place in the female genital tract, then the sperms are not able to swim and they cannot reach to the top of the genital tract. And you all know very well that here this process, the entire fertilization process, it takes place in the fallopian tube. But whereas the insemination takes place in the vagina, and if you see the fallopian tube, and here it is present like this. So after ovulation from the ovary, it is taken up into this fallopian tube. Now the ovoid reaches in the fallopian tube, and whereas the sperm is get released in this area. This is what actually the cervix region is one thing, whereas the vagina is also there. Once it is get reached to the here uterus, then the sperms must swim and finally they must reach to this fallopian tube. In this case, motile cilia, the sperms are not able to get swim here comfortably and they cannot reach to the top of the female reproductive tract, so that it leads to failure of the fertilization. Finally, there is no possibility of conceiving in a woman. So this is a one more problem. And thereafter, the another problem in a male, Y chromosome deletion. And here you know that male sex is get determined by here XY, your sex chromosomes combination. About this one you do not detailedly study in your genetics topic, so that it's a kind of your genetic disorder also. This Y chromosome will not be taken place here in certain kind of male. Since the Y chromosome is deleting, they do not develop the male characters and they will become here infertile or else sterilized condition. So this is the one more important thing. And thereafter, see the next one is absence of blockage, absence or blockage of vas deferentia and vas efferentia. You might have studied the male reproductive system in a detailed way. There you might have studied the various types of parts in a male reproductive system. Now let us recollect the structure of the testes, and then if you happen to see the testes, then within the testes you can see here testicular lobules are present like this, and these testicular lobules here leads to development of the rete testis, and from rete testis here vas efferentia will be get developed. These parts are known as vas efferentia, and all these vas efferentia are combined together forms epididymis, and these epididymis here develops into a vas deferens. Now I am going to label the parts here. This part is known as vas efferentia is one thing, whereas this is known as here vas deferens. Vas deferens. Right, coming to this point, check it out here. Here a blockage is taken place or the absence. In some of the male, there is no possibility of presence of this vas efferentia, or else the vas efferentia will be get blocked. Meanwhile here, the vas deferens also get blocked. Then, how the blockage of this vas efferentia and vas deferens leads to infertility? Let us see here clearly. You know that the sperms are get produced within the testicles, and these sperms get passes through here, the rete testis, vas efferentia, and they do get passed through the vas deferens. Finally, they do come out through the here azoculatory duct, and finally here urethra. They will be get released into the female body. But since this here two, one is vas efferentia and vas deferens is get blocked, it restricts the movement of the sperms. So the sperms will not be released out. So since the sperms are not releasing into the female genital tract, there is no possibility of conceiving. So this is the one more here, the great drawback and the problem in a male. Thereafter, see this one, acquired infections is another problem in a male. Let me here bring back the entire structure of your male reproductive system to you. And if you happen to see the male reproductive system, it includes the various parts, and one important thing is the penis is one thing, and here these two testes are present, two testicles. From the two testicles here, vas deferens that arises, right, and both of these are get connected at one place. There they do have connection with the seminal vasicles here at one. Thereafter, these seminal vasicles leads to urethra, and this urethra passes through the penis, and here at this area you can see two glands known as bulbourethral glands, and meanwhile you can happen to see one prostate gland also, and these two are the ureters. They are all coming from here, the two kidneys. This is the rough sketch of male reproductive system. Then see this, acquired infections. There is a chances of getting infection to the seminal vasicles. It is one important thing. A seminal vasicles will be get infected, and this gland is known as prostate gland. You all know that here the prostate cancer is very common in a male, and this prostate gland also get infected. Coming to the third kind of infection, you do get infection to your salivary glands. Even you might have suffered by this time at your earlier stage, at your childhood, and that disease is known as mumps. When you get a disease like mumps, is one more important problem. The mumps is a viral infection. Here, myxovirus parotidis is the name of the virus, and this virus particularly infect your parotid salivary glands. In your digestion topic might be studied the three varieties of the salivary glands, and among them one type is parotid glands that are all present here just underneath your ear at your jaw region. You can see these parotid salivary glands, and these parotid salivary glands are get infected by a kind of myxovirus parotidis kind of virus. In such a kind of infections, mumps when they get infected, seminal vesicles when they get infected, thereafter when the prostate gland is get infected, then here it leads to infertility. Finally here leads to oligospermia. I said already regarding this oligospermia. This oligospermia includes production of very few here sperms count, and they are all present in the semen. So it doesn't lead to fertilization. Thereafter, coital problems is one more important problem. In this, then what happens here? Male cannot produce here sperms is one thing, and male cannot here ejaculate or inseminate good number of sperms into the female genital tract. So if they fail to here produce and here release the high amount of sperms into the female genital tract, it leads to here coital problems. And thereafter oligospermia, I said already about this part. And coming to here, the another problem in a male is an important thing. When the age is progressing, the production of here sperm here testosterone, a hormone, it gets declines. When the testosterone declines, naturally here the spermatogenesis process will also get slowed down, so that they cannot produce good number of sperms is one thing, and healthy sperms is one thing, and thereafter here they do not have proper size and shape also. In such a condition, though the male is producing the sperms throughout the life, here is the point to be noted. I already explained in the human reproductive system. There the menopause it occurs in a female at the age of 45 or in between the 45 to 50. Whereas the spermatogenesis is a process in a male that continues throughout their life. But whereas here, when the age is progressing, because of deficiency of here male androgens, the male androgen is testosterone. Here, the production of sperm will be get obstructed. In such a cases, no possibility for conceiving. And this ADAM is otherwise known as male menopause. Here is a point, important thing. So the ADAM here problem is known as male menopause. So that condition will arise when age is progressing in a male. Right. Thereafter, the next one is low fructose levels. And here the sperms are get produced within the testicles. Thereafter, they do passes through this here vas deferens and they reach to here at the place. Then the seminal vesicles secretes certain kind of secretions. Even the prostate gland and bulbourethral glands or Cowper's glands also. All these here secretions of these glands together we call it as seminal plasma. This seminal plasma consists of certain kind of chemicals within that. And among variety of chemicals or here materials, fructose is very important thing. And this fructose provide the nutrients to the sperms and make the sperm to be in a living condition. But in some of the cases, if you see the semen will be here not having this fructose. Instead of that, the semen have got more amount of prostaglandins. It consists of large amount of the prostaglandins and very less amount of here fructose. In these two conditions, there is no possibility of survival of these here sperms within the semen is one thing. Thereafter, finally here, you can see here vasectomy is one more important thing. The vasectomy, when you go for the vasectomy, then these two vas deferens will be get here cut off and the cut ends will be get tied. There are no chances of here releasing of the sperms in the female genital tract. All these are the varieties of problems that are all included here in a male and makes the male infertile. And along with that, one more here problem is also there that includes here presence of anti-sperm antibodies. Here is a important point that you need to be noted. Then another cause for infertility in a male, it includes here anti-sperm antibodies. You know, the antibodies are actually the proteins which fight against to the pathogens as well as the antigens also. And here unfortunately in some of the cases, These anti-sperm antibodies are present more in their number in the semen of a male. So since these are all the antibodies, and here semen consists of the sperm, and these antibodies attack on these here the sperms and leads to the killing of these sperms. And these antibodies, it includes IgG is one type of antibody. The Ig, it stands for immunoglobulin G, whereas the second type of antibody is IgM, immunoglobulin M, whereas IgA is one thing, immunoglobulin A and immunoglobulin E. These are all the 4 different types of antibodies act against to the sperms. That is the reason why we call them as the anti-sperm antibodies. And if they are all present here in the semen of a male, generally they do attack on the sperms and leads to here destruction of the sperms. And if it happens, generally the male will become here infertile. They are not able to here conceive the babies. So that is one more problem. So these are all here includes causes the various problems here in a male person.